one no riding. Regarding helping us. Get to know someone who you've not met before. Alright, so on behalf of the passionate leadership of the Cadet Academy, I want to welcome you again. I'm sure that thank you for making our time to come out here. I'm sure it will be worthwhile, you will receive a worthwhile exchange for your time after the proceedings of this meeting. I'd like to call on anyone in prayer to just give us the opening prayer. If you don't volunteer, I'll call you. Anyone who's face against you. I'd like someone to volunteer to just give us a short word of prayer.
In Jesus' name. Ancient of days, we thank you for giving us this opportunity together to receive something important, something that will be special, something that will transform our life and add to what we know so that we can grow better and useful in the business of school and other things. Father, we pray, Lord, that as we commence the program, we will go ahead of us in Jesus' name. Amen. Father, every side of distraction or any other thing that can cause us not to be focused, will you please delete it in our system now in the name of Jesus Christ. We grant us understanding and better knowledge this day in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you so much. We want to keep the time and then have everything go smartly and sharply. So we're moving straight ahead for the opening remarks and then a brief presentation by our speaker today. But before she comes up, I'd like to just say a few things in that regard. The speaker today is a trailblazer in my own estimation, and I'm sure in the estimation of a couple of people who are beginning to see the strides at which she's putting up. And trailblazing, especially in the aspect of comprehensive learning for people with disabilities, especially learning disabilities. It's important to know that in this part of the world, a lot of things are left as mysteries. People don't seek to understand things. They rather leave it as mystery. And whatever you don't understand, it's mysterious to you. But our speaker today is a seasoned trainer with a Master's of Arts degree from the prestigious Meredith College in North Carolina, and has a Master's of Arts degree in education. And she majored with a major in special education. So she's an authority in the things which she will be sharing with us here. And aside from the fact, that she's also taught Mrs. Lola Aneke as she takes the opening remarks.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for presence. And with great delight and joy in my heart, I'm so glad that you all are here. Because I love to learn and I love when people are interested in learning also. And I want to especially thank everyone who took their time to register for this program. And we really want to apologize for starting a little bit late. Knowing who our Nigerians are, we know they live in African time. And the question I have, I decided not to proceed so that people can at least catch up when they get here. And we decided to start 11:30 and hope we can make good progress as we proceed. Thank you so much for your time. I'll just speak briefly about Cadet Academy. You all have flyers in your hands. It's a long name, I know it is. It's for short called Cadet Academy. And if you look at it, it's called Comprehensive Autism and other related disability education training academy. So it's called Cadet Academy for short. So when you hear Cadet Academy, it's not just Cadet Academy, it has a meaning. So please keep that in your short-term memory and then transfer it to your long-term memory as the time goes on. Without much ado this morning, okay, what we do. Cadet Academy is a special education solution training provider. We provide special education for services for private individuals, for schools. If you need special education, if you have kids with different disabilities in your classrooms and you do not know what to do with them, you can reach out to us at our office just upstairs. And then we have one-on-one training with kids with all manner of disabilities. There are people working with us, and people say to me, "Oh, why are you always here?" And I'm like, "This is my life and this is my passion." So if you commit your child to me, it helps me to be there with your child. If someone else has been trained, even if I've trained someone else to be with your child, I think it's very important for me to see and to know the progress and how this child is going. So it is just our calling and we can't do but that. Thank you so much. In the next 15-20 minutes thereabouts, I'll be talking on a topic which I've titled Understanding Dyslexia. I'll be using some time, special education time, and I believe most of us are in educational field. So there'll be time where you can ask questions, but for now I'll try my best to slow down, to explain the ones I could explain, so that I'll carry you all along because it's like the mystery, and we want to unravel the mystery. Okay. As I proceed, I want us to just take a look at this picture real quick, because almost everything I'm going to be saying is going to be tied around this. So we are not students today. Let's look at this picture very well. Look at that. The bubbles of the cake that the child is thinking to himself. He's thinking to himself at different times. He's saying, is that the letter B or D? At other times he's saying, did you say world or world? And then he goes down and says, was that 4 plus 4 equal 8 or 7 or 6? So basically, dyslexia is all about letter recognition, sound discrimination, learning to read, fact retrieval, and sequence. So hold on please. I want you to just please put this in your mind because I'm going to be connecting a lot of things to that. Can we move to the next slide? We have that already. The next slide, please. Okay. Imagine the shape of a 27-year-old man who is not able to write the check because he does not know how to spell the word 20. Imagine the embarrassment of a 7-year-old girl who cannot read at the same level as her peers. These are some of the frustrating experiences individuals with dyslexia go through every day. I need to write a check on the bank and I'm like, sometimes people are really nice to you, they tell you some things, but sometimes you don't, and then you're stuck. These are some of the things. Imagine a girl in your classroom who you do not observe so well, and you say, she has a problem with maybe reading a single sentence, and you ask her to stand up and read. Imagine how she's going to feel. She knows she has a problem already. So you asking her to stand up to do that again, you're really embarrassing her, so to say. So today we're going to talk about a few things like this. Next slide, please. Statistics from the International Dyslexia Association, IDA, reveals that 1 out of every 5 person in the world today have one form of learning disability. One person has got learning disability. And out of those people, 85% of them has got dyslexia. Imagine that. 85% is a very huge number. Next slide, please. I'll just be running through a few misconceptions about the dyslexic disorder. Dyslexia is not a new disorder. I'll just summarize this because about 3 or 4 slides you could read and you could listen. I believe we all have our short-term memory able to take the things together, so you could read and also listen. So the first time they actually noticed dyslexia was discovered was when a certain Mr. Morgan in his classroom with about 20 students were in his classroom, and there was this particular boy who was 14 years old. He was just out of the classroom. He was so intelligent. He was friendly. He wanted to be. He was just, when you have this bubbly student in your classroom, I'm sure from about those kind of students, they want to help you. They're just everywhere. But the only challenge Mr. Morgan had with his class, with his student, was that he was performing below grade level in his reading and in his writing. And it gave me a sort of concern and was like, I guess he needs to wear glasses. So I'm going to send him to the ophthalmologist and let him fix his eyesight. Maybe that could help him with his reading and writing. And then he sent him to the ophthalmologist. They did their test and gave him a pair of glasses. And then he was back to class again. After a few classes, a few weeks, Mr. Morgan was back to square one again. The boy couldn't still read and write on grade level. And that was when they discovered that it was dyslexia, and dyslexia could not be corrected with glasses. Next slide, please. Now, what is dyslexia? This is why we're really here, and I'm going to try my best to break it down as much as I can. The word dyslexia can be broken down into despite intelligence, motivation, and education. So some children can really be motivated. They want to go to school, they want to learn. They go to school, they're educated. They are quite dumb. A lot of people think, because he can't read is dumb, or because he can't write is not good enough to be in school. That is not the issue. It's a neurological wiring issue. So I'm going to really go to the next slide and keep breaking it down to you. Next slide, please. Facts about dyslexia. Dyslexia is a type of learning disability, and that's LD for short. It is the most recognized common learning disability. Like we said, 85% is really the most of all the 100% we have. Learning disability is a general term. So when you go down to explain what learning disability is and tell you the different kinds of learning disability we have. Learning disability is a general term that refers to a heterogeneous group of disorders manifested by significant difficulties in the acquisition and use of learning, speaking, reading, writing, reasoning, or mathematical abilities. So I think it's a good thing that most people here are in the educational field. This topic is really, really important to all of us. Imagine a student that you feel is deaf and is not listening when you're saying things in the classroom. Imagine him asking to say some words to you. He's going, say spaghetti and go. I have 2 pencils in my hand, and I have 2 pencils in my right hand, and I have 2 set of pencils in my left hand. When you put it together, what does it give? What do you have all together? And the child is just staring at you like. And then sometimes, and most times, because there are different kinds of learning disabilities, but most times you find out that dyslexia keeps appearing in all the different types of learning disabilities because it has to do with reading and writing. So if I cannot read, how can I read a word problem in mathematics? So I don't have problems with that. Next slide, please. So these are the different forms of learning disabilities we have. We have dyslexia tops the line because it's the most popular. We have dyscalculia, and I'm going to try and explain each of them briefly. We have dyspraxia. We have, the names looks funny, but we have dyspraxia. We have dysphasia or aphasia. We have auditory processing disorder, and we have the visual processing disorder. So I'll run through them real quick. Dyslexia, which we know, is, I wouldn't call it is a limitation. It's a limitation in reading, writing, speaking, and listening. That's basically what dyslexia affects. And then dyscalculia is a limitation with calculation. Dysphagia is a limitation with handwriting. That's like a fine motor issue with the but also some kids cannot hold the pencil to write properly. Here we have the early learners which hold their hands to write, but you find that as time progresses, when you expect them to write, they start problems with holding the pencils. We have aphasia, and that has to do with language, basically English language. They just can't get the syntax. A child will tell you, I see you yesterday. So they have different, and it's just a neurological wiring thing. So it's not as if the child is dumb or he doesn't understand English. Because even when you correct that child, tomorrow he's going to say the same thing because his short-term memory is not grabbing what you're talking about. We have auditory processing disorder. Some of these kids, yes, we have some people that have hearing kids. You say go and they're staring at you. The brain are not able to process what you said to them. And then the visual processing disorder, which is the one that most time people think, oh, he needs glasses. Oh, I think, sort of excuse about the visual. So when you ask the child to write maybe A, for example, he's writing A the other way. Those are some of the visual things you see. And like I said to you, this is appears in all of it. You can see how it's interconnecting with all of the things we're talking about with learning disabilities. The next slide, please. Facts about dyslexia. Again, dyslexics have problems concerning the sound phonemes. Okay, let me say that again. Dyslexics have the problem connecting the sound phonemes to the actual signal. For example, the word cat. A dyslexic is just going to hear cat. He cannot decode what that is. So most times they tend to cram this, okay, so that tomorrow when the child asks me, I just say cat. Now apply cat. It's not going to be able to apply it. Because they're not able to realize that every word in cat, C, which we call professionally, we call them the graphics. C is the graphic because the alphabet is sound. Then the sound is a phoneme. So the child is not able to recognize C as A as A and T as T. And then he's not able to blend it together to give him cat. So sometimes they're having spelling today. Everybody number one, cat. And it's like fidgeting. Or you might not want to come to school tomorrow because they're going to have spelling every morning. And so most times they're not able to decode or segment cat as in cat, and then they blend it. They have that kind of problem. And that's exactly what I'm saying. Dyslexics have difficulties hearing these three distinct sounds. They think of cat as one sound. Next slide, please. Dyslexics have the deficit in the ability to decode or word identification. Before the meaning of the word can be understood, the person must first recognize the word, like I just said to you. So let's look at this. I hope you all can see that down there. Let's look at this as an example. It says the owl was a bird. A dyslexic would interpret it this way. The owl saw a bird. Can we just see like the connection? He has all the words, but he's not able to decode or identify the word. I know some of us have, where we do sight word and we do all kind of practicing with these kids to be able to make them know some words. But if a child, no matter the amount of practice you do, if a child cannot decode a word, it's going to always have a problem with that word. Next slide, please. Okay, no two dyslexics demonstrate here in the US, in Ghana, wherever you go, you find dyslexia. And this cartoon, so to say, just to round up the beat. Of course, you can see what's happening there. The dog is saying bark, crap, he's supposed to be barking. And then the owners are like, oh, I think he has dyslexia. Next slide, please. Okay, so like I said in the previous slide, dyslexia looks different in different individuals. So if you have even a set of twins who are dyslexic, they're not going to exhibit their dyslexia the same way. So it's always good to look out for all the signs. so that you can tell if this is really dyslexia and look for solutions. It also affects the verbal ability in the sense that if I was dyslexic and someone here is dyslexic, the strength at which mine is going to exhibit it might not be as much as the other person because of our verbal ability. So if I'm the verbal type, you might not be able to really catch it, and somebody else is not so verbal. So you have to really it's a very, very thin line. You have to be able to know, is it just being quiet, or is she just being talkative, or she's trying to hide dyslexia? So it's something we have to be observant about. Then, in the motor ability too. So if some people have motor ability, it's about movement. So it could appear in that form too also. Working memory, which I've been trying to use that word, is simply being able to do two cognitive tasks at the same time. So for example, I say to you, I live in number 10B, or we're not close. And like, oh, where's that? And you don't have a paper and a pen with you. Are you able, and I'm trying to describe the way to, or we're not close to you, and probably you are in a Maitama roundabout. The ability to take the address and at the same time take the description I'm trying to give to you is an example of working memory. So and most kids go through that. You tell them, when you see a sign this way, it means you need to act together. That is one cognitive example I'm giving to you. And then I go again and I say, okay, so you have this song, and you see the sign plus. Because it's working memory won't take that, there's no way you can combine those two tasks. So it involves a sequential, there's a way you have to treat those children, so you have to understand that. That missed it if you're not observant. It's good, there's nothing wrong with him. And like the country in Nigeria, oh, I think he's just being lazy. Oh, I think he just want to do his work. Let's be very careful when we notice that in kids in our classroom. Next slide, please. Newsflash. As a special educator, I'm always very, very glad to tell you that children with special needs are always super intelligent. So don't ever be deceived and thinking that, oh, they're so dumb. I always try to recommend novels that has disabilities to parents so that you can see how these kids express what they're going through. There's one I'm reading presently, and it's called Out of My Mind, and the child said a lot of things that I would recommend to a lot of people. The child said, they were asking him to, because she's got cerebral palsy, I don't know if you've heard about that one before. It's a neuromuscular challenge whereby some kids are not able to talk, they're not able to move their body and all of that. So most of the time you have to communicate with them either by ACCD as augmentative or alternative communication, or you use the typical old style board to show what to them and all of that. So the child kept on saying and explaining, and they would make me sit down with people that could, like nursery school people that would talk hard and bad and all of that. I can spell people that could talk. So don't ever think these kids are dumb. They're always they have strength. And the best way to work with them is acknowledging the strength and using it to get to them. That's the best way to work with children with special needs. So always look out for their strength. And you see me talking about the strength of dyslexia a lot in this presentation. So most of them, they're always creative. They're observant, very observant. They're empathetic. They're strong problem solvers. They're really strong problem solvers. But like the word says, they are slower to acquire fine detailed basic skills like reading, writing, and spelling. So how do I reach out to these kids? Remember their strength. Next slide, please. Usually, and the ideal thing to do when you suspect anything with your child or with a student in your classroom is to do a testing. It's not good enough to just assume. It is unfair for me to look at you and say, you have a headache, so you need paracetamol. Or you look like you're looking tired, I think you have malaria, you need to take some malaria medication. So let's be very conscious. Always, even when you have suspicions, take our observation. I noticed that by 10 o'clock yesterday, they did this, just observe, and then take out to professionals. We need to test the child and be sure that the child is okay. So for dyslexic, it's always good to go through comprehensive testings with them. The first one that is very crucial, which is, for me, I think is very important, is the visual and auditory motor testing. Be sure, can you really hear me? Can you really see? So there's the form of test with professionals we're able to do to check if the child has this problem. And then we go down to the next one. Most of these have their technical terms, and I didn't want to bore you with that, so I'm making it quite simple. You go through the verbal and the non-verbal reasoning. You check that, the kind of test you go through, and then when you finish that, you go to comprehension. Can you comprehend? Ideally, in developed countries, there are certain words, an amount of word that the child is able to be able to read and comprehend within specific space of time. So maybe 50,000 words per minute, depending on the standard of what you are trying to achieve. So you do all of that, you do the comprehension reading, you do the writing, the spelling, the phonology. I'll get back to that in another slide. When you do that, this is usually the strength, because like I said, you ought to be able to reach out to these kids with their strength. So you check their talents, what is it good at? You check their interests, the creative work and out of school activities, where's the strength? So you do that, and then you're able to come up with a more comprehensive assessment and result to say, this child will need this child will need that, and then we begin to tackle the challenges the child is going through. Let's go to the next slide. I'm going to run you through the various signs to look out for in dyslexic people or people with dyslexia. The first sign for children from early kindergarten, which we call preschool, here, playgroup and nursery school, to early primary school, say like primary 2, 3. You see that letter, they are unable to name the letter. Okay? They have no interest in books. So you bring, let's read, mispronunciation, like I gave example of spaghetti, they go spaghetti, or backpack, they go back, or pack, because they're not able to say the difference between P and B. And then they don't get rhymes. It's a B, it's a spider, and then it's a B, it's a spider. They just don't get it. And then you go, and then they also have a challenge of right or left confusion, which I know some people say, oh, it's just a confusion, there's no A and B, don't worry, we'll work on that. There's a procedure to do that because, like I said, working memory, short-term memory, long-term memory, they need to be able to transfer to the long-term memory so they can always remember. So there's a way you're supposed to do that with them. And these are some of their strengths. They may be very social, good problem solvers, expressive non-verbal. They care about the classroom, they want everything to be put in place. They want you, they're very, they have a lot of good strength, they're creative, lots of ideas, but of course, they're very good at hiding their difficulties. So you have to watch out and look out for these kids. I'm going to really, this is an example of one of the students I worked with. I said to him to write the lowercase to call small letter B, alphabets, A, B, C, D, the small letter. And then while observing his work, I realized that he wrote A, which is good enough. B, I think he was confused. Did she really say capital letter or small letter, or he wasn't just getting what small or capital letter was. And then if you look here and the last one, you realize that he just lost. C and D is gone. So basically, in summary, they have a problem with letters, reading, hearing, and speaking. That's what that class category of students. Let's go to the next slide, please. Let's say primary school age, like primary 4 to like primary 6. They have reading problem, reading comprehension. So you give them 500 letter word and expect them to read it in maybe 5 minutes and understand it. They just keep going back and forth. They have writing, spelling, they have writing. When I mean writing, I'm not talking about the handwriting because at this stage they are able to write, so to say. So they have problem with writing essays. Write about your school. Their conclusion will be the body. The body is the introduction. They just can't get it. And then they have a problem with what finding challenges. So they're trying to like, okay, I'm trying to say, I have a picture in my head. There are lots of people, there's a teacher, the tables, what's it called? Classroom. They just can't pick the word, they know everything about what they're trying to say. Okay? So they have difficulty with rote memory. Rote memory could be some, I'm going to try and explain that. So like state and capital. You know how we say it in primary school, Lagos, Ikeja, or or your Ibadan. When you have kids saying those things, they can't, because their working memory is affected. That's what you have children learning disability altogether. But the strength, look at that, they're able to manage space very well. They're very good with science and math, as long as there's no word problem. If there's no word problem, I'm sure we all know what word problem is, they will do well. with that. And if you read to them, they'll do well with science. Sports, they're fantastic. Leadership position, place them at the class head, place them at the head boy, they'll do fantastic. So they're always very intelligent. Arts, they're beautiful artists. You need to see samples of some of the works I've seen children with dyslexia. They're just fantastic artists. Now I'm going to do another example here. This is one of my students also. And he's trying to say, I thought I could climb the mountain. Can we all see what he wrote? He's trying to write that, but this is what he wrote. You can see that he has a problem with the word thought. Well, I am not sure what's trying to do there. Cold, climb, and then mountain is a problem for him. So that's a sign. So basically, there are problems in reading, writing, spelling, and organization. When I mean organization, the body, the conclusion, and the introduction of your essay. We all know what essays are, right? The next slide, please. Okay, secondary school to university stage, poor quantity of reading and writing. So it's time to write essay. Most times we begin to write essays that write about Nigeria, write about just different topics. I need to write two full sheets, and then they're on the third line and they're lost. They don't want to write anymore. And if you all remember, when in secondary school, those are where we read a lot of comprehension, and then they ask you different questions about those comprehension. You find out that these kids are really struggling at this stage. Writing, or essay writing is a big deal for them, like you said. Compared to syntax and vocabulary, like just like the video, they just have a lot of problems with that. Any subject word like science and social studies. So when they see the word, they will do well in science, but when you have word like photosynthesis is like a big, I can't take that. So that way you begin to see them like metacognition is a big word I can't do well. And then they begin to shy back from that. They're very good with organization. They're very good at other thinking. So they will talk to you and be like, wow. But when it's time to write and read, you're like, what's going on here? And then they're very good critical and they analyze things critically, but they are very good because of comprehension. Very low. And then they don't do really well with tests, and then sometimes the organization too is a problem. Next slide, please. Older adults. So society is older adults, because the truth is that sometimes we don't catch it. Because these kids, if you do not have, you can't give what you don't have. So if you're not able to catch dyslexia in a little child in any primary school age, college, and then they become adults. They don't, why you might be able to, because I know my weaknesses, I'm getting old, I know people are going to laugh at me. I can curb my weaknesses and make known my strengths, so they're able to manage themselves. But the truth is that they're still dyslexic, whether they like it or not. So basically, they're most never formally identified. They have personal strengths, they have people's talents, they are strategic thinkers, problem solvers. Real life is always usually easier than school for them. The people support, they have that strength, they're very good with technology, very good. But I'd like to read this real quick. Most dyslexic adults are able to read and understand, but their reading, but find their reading a bit slow and writing and spelling more challenging. Have we noticed people like that? I have anyway, I've seen that. They're very good, but yeah, they'll do it, they'll write it, but they're trying because they're not able to. Like it's called self-regulatory, they can regulate themselves, they know their weaknesses, so they're able to manage it. Next slide, please. Okay, so I'm going to run again. I'm an advocate of the strength of kids with special needs. So basically, they are verbally gifted, they're wonderful storytellers, verbal reading is strong, social perspective is strong, metacognitive analytic is very strong. Let me please explain what metacognition is real quick. Depending on the level of the child. So I have a problem. Most people that have metacognitive challenges, I'm in this room now, it's locked up. A child with learning disability will not think of the next solution. I'm standing in this room. I have a challenge. It's not going to affect you no matter I have a challenge. So that's the first one. Second one, what are the strategies I could use to get myself out of this room? They'll naturally not think of it. And then, ideally, what are the strategies? Am I doing the right thing? Can I make phone calls? Should I bang the windows for help? Am I doing the right thing? They're not able to assess themselves if they're doing the right thing. So they have a problem with identifying a challenge, knowing the steps to get out of that challenge, and then be able to self-assessment and not able to assess themselves if they're doing well or not. So it behoves us to be able to. But like I said, some of them have that strength too. So it's different signs for different people. Next slide, please. Okay, this is like a professional term we use. It's called the mind strength. So material reasoning, they're very good in it. Interconnected reasoning, they're good. Narrative reasoning, dynamic reasoning. Material reasoning, if you check dyslexic to a shape, a big wall shape, for example, they're just going to look around once. And then they can actually draw that on things. Narrative reasoning, so before you finish the story, they can tell you the conclusion of the story. You understand? So basically, they have this, they're not able to get the findings, but they have the big picture. So they're able to, like, but they may not be able to tell you that, okay, this, but they always have a big picture. This is all their strength. And dynamic, when things change, they are just so fantastic with all of this. Next slide, please. So the question is now, what is the way forward for the dyslexic students? I'm going to be talking in the next slide or two about specific programs that can be done with these children. But I'm not going to go all professional, I'm going to break it down as easy as I can, and then I'm going to give general accommodation techniques that I can use with children with dyslexia in the classroom. Next slide. The one we call multi-sensory teaching strategies, and it just involves the use of the sight, the auditory, the body, kinesthetic, and also the tactile. So I'm going to break it very quick. Visual reinforcement, auditory reinforcement, kinetic reinforcement, and tactile reinforcement. The visual means, so I want a child who's dyslexic. I want to teach him how to identify his alphabets. I'm supposed to have, so it's A, I'm going to introduce to him. At least, I'm going to be able to use at least two of these reinforcements to be able to make it, because remember, it's a working memory issue, so to say. So I say A, and then it says A. It's hearing A, okay? That's the auditory aspect. And then A, I'm showing the letter A, that's the visual, okay? And then the kinesthetic reinforcement. Usually it's good for them to be able to move, which is our movement. There's some programs, there's one I always, I love that one, it's called the letter line. And then you see the upping, you see the jumping, the different type of thing. You have the Annie and all of that, but they show you the way the body moves. So to teach those kids. So if it's going to say H, it goes this way and all of that. It stands still and then you see H. So they're able to use their body to be able to remember. Because the brain thing, the neurological thing, the more you make them see it and connect it together, the easier it is for them to be able to apply. And then the tactile, it's more of the fine motor. So you make them do A. And then maybe you do the sand. You put that some, you put some sand on the board, and then they're able to feel it. A, they're feeling it. Another good example of the kinetic, which I do with my students, I make sure that they're seeing the A, they're hearing the A, then I try to trace it on the back. So they're feeling it. So the entire, the whole process, the auditory, visual, kinetic, tactile, they're able to see it. But that's just like a teacher-made kind of program. Usually there are programs that have been set in place, because usually it's a long process. So you won't say because I'm doing it, I've done it twice, the child should be able to get out of it. Sometimes a program that goes on for months, and then you keep reading your progress. I'd like to say something real quick in respect to that. And I would like to, I'm going to give kudos to a very, very important researcher and educator who have been able to develop different programs that people are using now, teachers are using it, different programs that have been put together for this kids, and his name is Otto Gillingham. It's called the Otto Gillingham approach. And the approach has several techniques. It's called explicit. It must be as simple as possible. It must be systematic. So you don't, so for example, I'm going to teach alphabet A. I'm going to teach alphabet. The child has to get A before I move to B. I must get A. So it has to be, there's a process. So it has to be systematic. It has to be sequential. You know what sequence is? It must be. You have to follow that routine to get to these children. So you have to be patient and understand that this is it. So if you have a child who you've done such procedures, such lessons before like a week or two. You don't have to, you can't tell me that you've done all you can within 2 weeks. That's not good enough. It has to be systematic, it has to be direct. So you must be direct with that child. You don't just say, okay, one-on-one. It's a direct thing because, like I said, dyslexia is different with different people. And then there's the program that, the way it's organized, you have to let the child know how it's doing. So very well, you'll be able to do A, let's move to B. It has to be direct individual one-on-one with those children. So that's one aspect I needed to clarify. And another thing again is that a lot of opportunities, you have to give those children a lot. So you can say, but I've told you, you just so. No, it's not acceptable. You must give them a lot. They're not getting it. Remember, you kill them in. So lots of practice and mistake, remember, is a working memory issue. Next slide. Okay, this is another good program. I love this. It's long, it's voluminous, but I love it. So you do phonological awareness training with these kids. I'll come out to explain that. Phonics instructions, fluency instructions, vocabulary instructions, and comprehension instructions. Because we know that dyslexia is about reading, writing, spelling, and listening. I think you can you understand that already by now. So, phonological awareness is just basically making and helping the child understand that speech and producing consists of little tiny bits of words. So speech has words, it has syllables. So cat, act, or you have periwinkle, periwinkle. The syllables can be brought out of that. So they have to understand that they need to be able to understand that these words can be broken, and they can be segmented, and they can be blended. And then they need to also understand that so they have syllables, they have sound, and they have phonemes. Phonemes are I'll get to that very soon. So now let's go to phonics instruction. Phonics instruction simply means that children are able to, which I already explained initially, are able to identify letters, which we call graphics, and are also able to understand that this letter has sound, which are phonemes. Am I communicating with you? So they have to be able to understand that, okay, when I say a word like, I'll keep using cat, once I've said the name already. So cats, the child will be able to say k, which is C. So the C is the graphic, the alphabet. Then A and C, k. C is k, that's the phoneme. A, that's the phoneme, which is A, and T is T. So you're going to identify each of those things before, because that's how they keep moving to comprehension and all of that. Another one is fluency instruction. We're able to put them through that. And the only definition I have for fluency is that needs to be able to read smoothly and effortlessly. You give a child a reading comprehension, he's reading it smoothly. There's no no, that is smooth and that effort. There's no stress reading it. And then vocabulary instruction, different words and different, we have compound words and all of that. We was able to know which is the prefix, suffix, and all of that. We're able to know this one, and there are different things to do with these kids. And then comprehension instruction, of course, comprehension, we're able to read fluently under specific time and understand what they're reading. That's what comprehension is simply all about. Next slide, please. So these are like general tips for teachers in the classroom. So if you have children with learning disabilities in your classroom, that are just tips you need to be able to know and understand so you can work with them successfully in your classroom. You need to repeat directions to them. Remember, sometimes they have auditory, they have visual, so direction, hearing it over and over, you need to repeat it to them. So then we have difficulty following direction, but often when you ask them to repeat direction in their own words. Do you agree with me? I think that works a lot with kids like that. Maintain daily routine. It's always good to let them know what is next because it's a neurological wiring issue. So it's easier when you understand what I'm going to be doing. Always maintain that routine with them. And then hand out graphic organizer. So like I need to there's a project we're doing on science and math comprehension. For those kids, the keywords, I feel like a graphic. Have you all seen graphic organizers before? I'm sure some of us have seen it. Like those, I wish I got a sample. But this could also be a graphic organizer. It's quite expensive. It's easy for me to know what's going on. For this kind of kids, all those words that might be difficult for them, put it out there. So when they're reading, they're able to use it. There are some that you like triangle, there are different forms. We're going to have several kind of trainings and workshops as time progresses. Some will be paid, some will be free, and then we'll do different kind of workshop on all those topics. We'll all be able to help us in the classroom. Next slide, please. Use step-by-step instruction, just like following direction also. Then the next one says simultaneously combine verbal and visual information, just like we said, multisensory learning, verbal and visual, always do that with those students. The next one, write key points or words on the chalkboard. So we're going to talk about the hospital, or we're going to talk about the fire station. The words that you know are going to be challenges to these children. Put it on the board first. I want to quickly say something real quick right now. Remember that in the classroom you have all sorts of students. The children are not all on the same level. Do you agree with me? So differentiation is very, very important. So because I'm not saying that you must always write on the board. You have to have like a plan. I have 3 children with dyslexia in my classroom. 2 of them, remember, it's different. So you have a plan for each of these children. And have you heard of the word multiple intelligence in the classroom? Can you please raise up your hand if you've heard multiple intelligence before? It's simply that kids have multiple, some of them are kinesthetic learners. They need to move around to get things. Some of them are visual learners. So they have different, they can express things in different ways. So if I know a child who has a problem with, who has a challenge with writing, for example, I'm not encouraging, of course, while you're going through the process of helping me to be able to write. We have a class in my classroom and everybody needs to say something. I want to ask him to write. His intelligence, his strength could be in coming to the class to be fun. Since it's verbal, then go ahead and explain what you want to say to us. So it's always good to know how to differentiate in your classroom such things. Another thing I need to note is Bloom's taxonomy. Have you heard about that also? You need synthesization and all of that. So know where your kids are. This is also good for general education, special education. So you see what I'm saying? You always know these two are the 2 strong points for differentiation in the classroom. Always know where your kids are and meet them at that point of this. Very important. For me, I always say that success is important. For me, it's about the child's success. So I'll do anything to make my children, my kids succeed. So it's not about their weaknesses. I know they have a weakness. How can I help them? So it's not about the success. So let's go start even as we go. Next slide, please. And design balanced presentation and activities. Part of this differentiation to make sure it's balanced. What's their strength, what their weaknesses, and all of that. Small group. It's something like, oh, I don't like my classroom-based content. If I feel that I have 2 or 3 out of 10 students in my classroom or 15, I need to know, okay, these 3 or 4 can work together, or you could pair them, pair tutoring. You pair them. Always make sure the classroom is balanced and not that, oh, these are the ones I know, so come out. Let them be the ones talking. Or it's always like that. No matter what you do, don't do that to those kids. Make sure your classroom is balanced. Because I tell you something, these kids know. They know. They know if you want to help them or not. And I'm going to show you a quotation which I ended with. Why am I an educator? Why did I choose this profession if it's not to make a difference in the student's life? So, and the last point I have is emphasize daily review. So so today, so let me just practice that with you. What have we done today, this morning? We talk about dyslexia. We talk about the signs. What else have we talked about? Sorry? The testing, the strength. So with children with that, that's how you review. So they know you're carrying them along. But it's always important. I always review with them again. Let the brain keep working. And then they always look forward to coming back to you. Next slide, please. I love this quote. I was having my quiet time and I came across it when I was preparing this presentation. And I'm like, wow, this is just act. It says, strength is for service, not status. each of us need to look after the good of the people around us, asking ourselves, how can I help? And that's the book of Romans chapter 15, verse 2. Thank you so much for that attention.
I think we can do that again. John, certain thoughts, were just going through my mind on its real life applications. Then I found out, it just came to my mind, I was going through, my long-term memory. Thank you so much. I was going through my long-term memory. I remembered some time back, some few years ago, I read about Helen Keller. How many of us know Helen Keller? She's an author. She's an author, and she was also a speaker. But at a point, she was deaf, and she was dumb. But, her parents were very thoughtful people. When they realized that she had that disability, or those disabilities, they didn't just give up on her. The greatest responsibility. I personally believe that society is the way it is today because of the failure of family. Everybody somehow is born either to a family, either a guardian, or you are placed with your immediate parents, or you have children come to school. Somehow, every human being is so designed that falls into one of these places. If you don't have a parent, the child would have guardians. If the person doesn't have guardians, will somehow find his way to school or in some kind of community. So I actually think for me, the responsibility for us here, listening to this kind of thing, is to be able to make some kind of connection. So let's not just listen. In the next few minutes, we'll be taking a presentation. I like us to see how we can, because this is free I'm just thinking to my mind, all this information for free. I just think she's doing all this because they and the Cadet Academy are doing this in a way to add value to people. I personally, I'm not an educator by trade, but I'm a parent in the making, and and I talk to people from place to place. It's important that we think on how to apply these things personal, because information does not profit that is not used. So I want to encourage you to begin to think of ways, whether you're an educator or a parent or a guardian or an uncle or an aunt that has children around you, to look out for those tendencies around. For every one of us, you would know that at one point in the other, you had some kind of disability that somebody showed up for you and helped you out. I never knew I could stand before people and speak. The first time I ever stood in front of people to speak in public, I quickly read off what I wanted to say, and I was going to, as we watch the next video, we're going to break it into two halves, but I'd like you to think of practical ways in which you can apply what you have in the immediate term, what you're hearing in the immediate term. I think that's the only way we can, we can maximize the benefit of such a training. Yeah, but before we do that, can we just appreciate Mrs. Vola again? So I'll be stepping aside right now. In the next 28 minutes, we'll just watch the first half of this little clip, and then, but I want to encourage us to make personal applications while we watch. Now, have a nice evening.
Into the ocean, no one saw her fall. The waves were rough. Soon she grew tight. Then something bumped against her. A shark, she thought. Oh no. It was not a shark, it was a dolphin. Grindling It pushed her towards the shore. Water, shallow water. At last, she cleared up.
This is my son Alejandro. During first grade, we transferred him to a private school near our house. He was tested for reading and math, and we were shocked to find out that he was behind in reading. In an effort to help him catch up, he met with the school's resource teacher and he met with a reading tutor. Unfortunately, he was still behind at the end of first grade, so at the recommendation of his teacher and the principal, we held him back. I will always regret that decision because it is something that still haunts him to this day. Halfway through second grade, it was my mother who suggested to us that we have him tested for dyslexia. We did, and the results came back that he was indeed dyslexic. We went to his school and told the principal and his teacher that he could do it. I thought that was a really strange answer because here was a child who was struggling and he knew he was struggling. I thought that we should tell him and we should help him understand what dyslexia is and what it means for him. So we did. Since then, Ada's confidence has soared, and with the help of the school's resource teacher and now a private dyslexia tutor, he has become a much stronger reader and continues to improve. Learning about dyslexia and embracing it has changed our lives for the better.
Dyslexia is a neurologically based disability. It affects the ability of the child to, or the person to acquire written language. It's very hereditary, and it's generally if there's a father who is dyslexic or a mother, one of the children is going to be dyslexic. Sometimes even it won't affect the mother and father, but when you talk to them, you find out, well, there's an aunt or there's an uncle or there's somebody in their family who has had a similar problem with acquiring written language. It can be unexpected in that the child appears to be very bright, which dyslexic children are very bright, and in many cases, the high cognitive ability can almost work against them. They're compensating so much, and people don't realize that they're really struggling, and so they may go on and perhaps do average work, but maybe they were meant to do more than that. You know, maybe they were
frustrated. I was frustrated. It was very difficult. I assumed she was being stubborn. It was very hard on her when it came time to read because the teachers kept telling me, you need to spend more time with her, and I felt like we were adequately spending the time she needed to learn how to read. She just couldn't pronounce the words, follow the story. She didn't know how to read.
Early on in